Go pull out your last feed receipt. A standard 50-pound bag of layer feed runs somewhere between $18 and $25 in most parts of the country. The premium bag, the organic bag, that's north of $40. I know exactly what's in that price. I spent 32 years on the selling side of it, hauling bags off the truck, running the mill, standing behind the counter, watching the number climb year after year. I'm going to show you 6 ways to cut that bill in half that nobody behind that counter ever put on a sign. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You've seen the "feed your chickens for free, forever" videos. Maybe you tried a couple of those ideas and your hens quit laying. You're not wrong to be skeptical. I'm not going to tell you never buy feed again. That's not honest. What I'm going to show is half. Documented in my own feed log on my own 14 hens. The difference between me and the people making those other videos? I spent 3 decades on the side that was selling you the bag. That's exactly why I can say this out loud now. Here's what's actually in the price of that bag: corn, soy, trucking, packaging, marketing, and 3 different sets of margins before it ever hits the shelf. That's not inflation. That's a system that benefits from you not knowing what else is possible. 100 years ago, nobody bought chicken feed. Your great-grandparents ran a closed loop. The birds ranged the yard, ate from the kitchen, got fed from a green row the family grew on purpose. My grandfather kept 40 hens and never opened a bag in his life. The system didn't die because it stopped working. It died because the bag was cheaper and easier for a generation or two, and somebody was very glad it was. The price has been catching up ever since. These 6 methods stack. Used together, cutting 40 to 75% off your feed bill is real. That's what shows up in my own records. But the reason most free feed advice fails people isn't that the methods don't work. It's that they drop the protein or stop putting out calcium, and the hens pay for it before the keeper notices. We're going to talk about money and keeping the birds right, because those are the same conversation. Real ranging starts with one question. When you open that door, is there actually something out there for your hens to eat? A hen on honest pasture, at least 10 square feet per bird, ideally 25 to 30, can cover 10 to 20% of her nutritional needs from what she finds underfoot. Beetles, earthworms, grubs, seeds, green matter. The protein in a good earthworm runs 50 to 70% on a dry matter basis. Nothing in a bag touches it. I had a woman at my counter every month. Good keeper, but the feed bill never moved. I asked about her setup. Nice little yard, all-day access. I asked if there was grass out there. She stopped. "It's mostly dirt," she said. Her hens weren't ranging. They were parked. Rotation matters. 2 sections, one resting while one is being worked, and you get real production all season. Without the other 5 methods, ranging alone isn't enough. With them, it's the foundation. One quick thing, ranging birds find plants you didn't plant. Nightshade, yew, foxglove, they grow in fence lines, and they're toxic. Walk the perimeter before you call it a free-range yard. My grandfather's rule was simple. Nothing left the kitchen or the garden without the hens getting a look at it first. Vegetable trimmings, soft fruit, overripe tomatoes, cooked leftovers, all of it went to the birds before the compost got it. This is free feed most people are throwing away, but I have to give you the list because this is where the internet gets people hurt. Do not feed your hens avocado, flesh, skin, pit, any of it. The toxin can kill a bird fast. Do not feed raw or dried beans. Raw phytohemagglutinin is acutely toxic. Cooked beans are fine. No green potato foliage, tomato leaves, or pepper foliage. No rhubarb leaves. Nothing moldy, any mold, any amount, ever. Repeated large doses of onions or garlic can damage the red blood cells. No salty food, processed food, chocolate, or caffeine. I've watched people hurt flocks with generosity. They weren't wrong to try, they just didn't have the list. Now you do. The full Never Feed list is on my free checklist, links below. Print it and put it on the inside of the coop door. One more thing, heavy starch, bread, pasta, cooked grain, pulls the protein percentage of the whole day's eating down. Treat the scrap bucket as a bonus on top of the ration, not a replacement for it. Comfrey is a deep-rooted perennial herb. Plant it once and it comes back every year without replanting. 4 to 6 harvests per season off the same roots. On a dry matter basis, the leaf with the water taken out so the numbers compare fair to a feed bag, comfrey runs 20 to 26% crude protein. That's higher than most commercial layer pellets. Harvest when the leaves are 18 to 24 inches tall, cut 2 inches above the ground, and feed it wilted rather than fresh. A good handful of wilted leaf per bird per day is a meaningful supplement. Plan on 2 to 3 linear feet of row per bird. The variety to look for is Bocking 14. It won't spread by seed. My grandfather had a comfrey row. I cut those leaves as a kid and hauled them to the hens without knowing what I was doing. Then I spent 30 years in the feed industry telling people to just buy the bag. I retired, put the row back in, stood there looking at it, and thought about every customer I'd never told. That one sits with me. Comfrey is a supplement, not a replacement. Watch the eggs, they'll tell you if something's off. Those 3, ranging, scraps, comfrey, are your foundation. The next 3 are where my own log shows the sharpest drops. The fodder tray. You've probably seen the claim that you turn 50 pounds of barley into 300 pounds of feed. That number comes from weighing the water. Sprouted grain gets heavier, but a dry pound of barley doesn't become 3 dry pounds of food. I say that first because if you build this system expecting that math, you'll feel cheated by something that actually works. What sprouting does is break down compounds that make grain harder to digest. The bird pulls more nutrition out of every pound she eats. In winter, when the pasture is gone and the comfrey is dormant, a fodder tray gives you living green feed that nothing else replaces, and it can substitute for up to about half the bagged ration for some flocks. Soak barley overnight, drain it, spread a 1/4 inch deep on a tray with drainage holes, rinse twice a day. By day 6 or 7, you've got a thick root mat and green shoots 4 to 6 inches tall. Feed it then. Roughly 1 to 1.5 ounces per bird per day alongside the bagged ration. 7 trays in rotation, 1 planted each day, gives you a daily harvest that runs itself. If what you're hearing today is worth something, subscribe. I put one of these out most days. And the free checklist has all 7 ways to cut the feed bill ranked by how much they save. Links below. The next method still uses the bag, but it makes the bag go 20 to 30% further. And I spent 32 years not saying a word about it from behind that counter. Fermented feed. Put bagged feed or whole grain in a non-metal container. Cover with clean water by 2 to 3 inches. Stir once or twice a day. In 48 to 72 hours, it smells sour, like sourdough, alive. That's right, that's what you want. Feed it the same day you pull it, and don't let it sit in summer heat. Hard stop. If it smells rotten, not sour, rotten, or you see any fuzzy mold on the surface, throw the batch out and start clean. Fermented and rotten are not the same thing. One helps the bird, one harms her. The smell is the difference, and you'll know it. One helps the bird, one harms her. The smell is the difference, and you'll know it. Birds on fermented feed eat less volume to hold the same body condition. The bag goes further because fermentation improves what the bird can actually pull out of it. There's no margin in teaching you to stretch what you're already buying, so the bag never mentioned it. I'm putting it here now. The last one is the method that would have made my old suppliers the most uncomfortable. Black soldier fly larvae. Not a pest, a managed protein crop you raise in a simple bin on kitchen scraps that were already going to the compost. On a dry matter basis, they run 40 to 50% crude protein. Nothing in a commercial layer pellet comes close to that number. A covered bin with a ramp near the top. When the larvae are mature, they crawl up on their own and drop into a collection bucket. Feed the bin vegetable scraps, fruit, coffee grounds, cooked grain, but not large amounts of meat or dairy. In warm weather, the colony sustains itself with almost no input. In cold climates, it slows in winter and picks back up in spring. 3 to 4 weeks to get going. Feed rate is a tablespoon or 2 per bird per day. At that protein level, a little goes a long way. Now, I need to say something directly, and I want you to hear it. A laying hen needs roughly 16 to 18% protein across her whole day's eating. Not just what's in the bag, but everything she eats added up. And she needs calcium continuously, because the shell gland works overnight while she sleeps. If calcium isn't there when she needs it, she pulls it from her own bones to finish the egg. That's not a theory. That's what's happening in the dark in your coop right now. Here's what cutting costs the wrong way actually looks like. Fewer eggs, then fewer still, then thin shells, then soft shells, then eggs with no shell at all laid on the coop floor in the night. It happens slowly enough that most people don't notice until they haven't had a full basket in weeks. Keep oyster shell or crushed eggshell out free choice every single day without fail. It costs almost nothing. A firm, well-formed shell tells you the calcium is right. A good, deep yolk tells you the protein is right. The egg is your daily report card. It doesn't lie. Cut the bill as hard as you like, but watch the eggs. They'll tell you if you've gone too far. These 6 aren't separate tricks, they stack. Ranging reduces what the birds pull from the feeder. Scraps close the kitchen loop. Comfrey puts protein in the ground that earns back every season. Fodder bridges the winter. Fermentation stretches what you're buying. And black soldier fly larvae turn kitchen waste into the highest protein supplement your hens can eat. That's a system, and a system is worth more than any single bag. This week, walk the yard and open up more ground. Start the scrap bucket with the right scraps and nothing from the never feed list. Order comfrey root cuttings and pick your spot. Tonight, soak a pound of barley, fill a bucket, and start your first ferment. And when you're ready, set up the larva bin. It takes a few weeks to establish, so start before you think you need to. Pick one. Start there. That's how this builds. Cut the bill as hard as you like, but keep the protein around 16 to 18% across the whole day's eating, and keep oyster shell out free choice every single day. A hen you cheap out on the wrong way stops laying, then loses condition, and then you haven't saved anything. She paid for it. Watch the shells every morning. They'll tell you before anything else does. A keeper saving $50 or $60 a month on feed, a retired couple on a fixed income, someone watching every dollar carefully. That's real money over a year. And unlike the bag, what you've built doesn't go up in price. The comfrey row doesn't have a trucking cost. The ferment bucket doesn't have 3 sets of margins in it. Every month this system runs, it's yours a little more and the feed store's a little less. Go back and look at that receipt you pulled out at the start of this video. The number on it doesn't have to be what you pay next month, not all of it. I'm Earl. I spent 32 years ringing up that bag for people who didn't know there was another way. I'm on the right side of the counter now, and I'm glad to be here. Go check your flock. Next time, 6 foods most people think are perfectly fine treats for their hens that are quietly costing them eggs. Some of them are probably in your kitchen right now. See you then.